actually haven't unwrapped, or let's say hadn't unwrapped all of these plants from like the soil cover that was on them to keep all the soil in. So I just did that because obviously we were gonna water, and this leaf has gotten so big. I knew that it was still like not hardened off, but I didn't realize that it was gonna keep growing. And it's honestly so beautiful. I'm really happy that they sent this home with me. This was one that Josh from Ecuagenera was like, I think that you should just have this plant. So I was like, okay. So I'm really excited about this one. Again, this is the Bessier, Anthurium Bessier luxurians cross. It's really, really pretty. I removed all the top stuff off. This is the Draconopterum, and these are all new plants to me. So if I'm butchering the names, sorry. And then this is the Magnificum crystallinum cross. It's looking very beautiful. It actually has something coming up, like this like new leaf situation is already looking very stiff. So that's very exciting. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get something. And then this Falcatum, again, don't think I'm really saying that correctly. This is the new leaf that you saw in that video. It was literally like this big, and now look how huge it is. It's so beautiful. It has like such a beautiful T shape. I'm completely obsessed. It's gorgeous. I knew that this plant was gonna be a big favorite of mine. Like when I saw it, I just immediately knew that I needed to have that plant. So as far as bringing all of these plants like into my collection and integrating them, I had them sit in the plant room, just sort of isolated for like probably 5 days. And then a couple days ago, I put them in the cabinet because I was thinking like the plant room humidity is probably like 30%, like it's really not that high. And I know that they were living in around 50 to 60% humidity, just because we were chatting with Josh and he was explaining how it can be hard to keep the humidity up there. So the cabinet is usually around 50 to 60% humidity. It has been a lot higher since I put like so many more plants in there, which has been really awesome because it's actually been sitting around like 68, 69%, which is really ideal. I mean, if it would go up into the 70s, I'd be even happier, but that's way better than where it normally sits in the winter, which is like 40, sometimes down to 30. So it tends to be like 10 to 15% more humid in there than the rest of my house. And I'm not supplementing humidity at all. So I sort of think to myself like, well, I sort of started to notice that when the humidity drops, that's when the plants actually need to be watered. And it makes sense. Like obviously there's not water in the soil anymore, like making the air moist. So I just sort of gauged the humidity levels, and today it's at 62%, which is the lowest that I've seen. And I checked the plants and a lot of them were dry. I'm kind of just going off of that for my greenhouse cabinet. If you have a closed environment, maybe that would be a helpful tool for you. Of course, like check the plants first to make sure that they actually need water before you water them again. I always say that, but I have sort of gotten into a habit of like, oh, once the humidity drops, they're probably ready. And if it's been a couple of days, like again, as I said earlier, it's about every 5-ish days that I have to water in there, which can sound like kind of a hassle, but there's not that many plants in there. Like I'm used to watering sessions being as big as the entire plant room. That's like 50 plants. That's a lot of time. So if it only takes me like an hour, less than that actually, I'm totally happy. And also something that I do is I don't let them drain out for very long, because the water that accumulates in the saucers is only a tiny bit anyway. So I don't have to worry about them completely like dripping out like I would with the wall, for example. I don't want to have water dripping down onto the floor or onto the furniture below, which I have had some water damage on that IKEA bench that I'm going to be addressing sometime in a video. But yeah, so I just don't worry as much about water dripping in here because it's metal and there's a ton of plants in there, and honestly it's just like it'll evaporate pretty quickly because there's so much light going on in there. These plants have like a little, I don't want to say flimsy plastic planter, but it's just like a, you know, it doesn't have a lot of structure to it. So I'm just gonna kind of like squeeze out anything like this feels like too excess, and then I'm gonna go pop this back into the cabinet. I think with these plants being watered, the humidity is going to possibly go into the 70s. I'll let you know if it does. But when I put them in there, just what was like residual in the pots was bringing up the humidity so much. And I know that it was the addition of these that made that difference, because I've had the same plants in there for like, you know, probably like a year, and it was always doing the same thing, and then I added these and it was suddenly so much more humid. So I think also just having more plants in it helps too. So the more packed your greenhouse cabinet is, possibly the more humid it's going to be. Oh, and I also wanted to say, I ordered pots for these and I'm hoping that they arrive sometime while I'm filming this video. I need to check on Etsy the shipping notification, but I wanted them to be in like not a terracotta planter, so that would be either ceramic or plastic. And I ended up finding these 3D printed pots that look really, really cool. Like they're like really fun shapes. And some of them, I think I ordered one that is in like a terracotta color, and then one that was white, and another one that I think is green. And they're all 6-inch pots because I decided that I want these to be in like larger pots. The root systems and a lot of these are pretty much filling up this, and this is a 4-inch pot and it's pretty deep for a 4-inch pot, so I figured a 6-inch would be a pretty good upgrade size. So I just didn't really like love the idea of getting like a ton more ceramic ones. I went to Walmart to just shop because if you didn't know, well, not right now, but maybe in a few weeks or a few months, Walmart has a really great pot selection. I had no idea until I went a couple months ago, and well, let's say last season, it wasn't a couple months ago. Last season I went and I was blown away by how many beautiful pots there were. There was so many beautiful pots and they're priced really well. I mean, it's Walmart. So anyway, I went to Walmart to see if I could find anything, but I couldn't find anything that I really loved besides one planter, and I'll show it to you. Yeah, I'll show it to you when I'm watering the bottom half of the situation here. But anyway, so when I got back in the car, there wasn't really much at Walmart besides like that one pot. And so when I got back in the car, I started looking on Etsy and just made an order before I even made it home so that I could check it off my list that I found pots for these beautiful anthurium. And I'm gonna keep like all of the soil that they originally came with and then supplement with De La Tanks just like around, you know, in the extra space. Because I did chat with Josh at Equigenera, basically just like asking suggestions for what to do for soil, being that I am a bit of an underwater. Well, he just made me feel better about using De La Tanks with this type of plant, because, you know, I am not a person who's gonna get to watering them every 3 days, and about every 5 days in De La Tanks, they're pretty much drying out, unless it's like a really big one. So anyway, all this to say, they're doing pretty well. This one right here has a little bit of a dead tip. That could be because it broke up here. That could also be because I didn't water it. I forgot that this one is in like a lot of cocoa, like, okay, I'm spilling, but this one is like in a majority of cocoa, whereas the rest of them have more like of a soil peaty base. I don't know if it's probably peat or compost. So I didn't realize that until I noticed the tip, and I was like, oh, something's going on. And then I took off the wrapping and realized that it was majority cocoa and like a little bit of perlite or pumice, it looks like. So that one will definitely need a little bit more heavy amending, but I don't expect to have to do a ton because these plants, like this type of anthurium, are typically pretty easy for me. So, okay, I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna put these all back. So this is my Florida Beauty, and it's pretty much reverted. I'm super sad. Like, none of these leaves that have come out recently have any variegation on them. This one's hardened off. Yeah, they don't have any variegation. I'm super bummed. I don't know really what to do, because if I was to cut it back to the last variegated leaf, it would be this one. So like, I guess maybe I could cut it like here, because I think that's what you're supposed to do when a plant puts out a like non-variegated leaves, or you could just wait and see if it starts to put out variegated leaves. I don't really know. I'm not going to be like all that bummed until this big leaf dies. Like, once this leaf is gone, I'm going to be like, okay, let's figure something out here. I don't know if you guys have any tips, let me know. But it's literally under like the brightest light possible in the greenhouse cabinet. Those lights are extremely bright. If you guys saw on my chia pens, it's like a washed out yellowy green color because it's just receiving so much light. So definitely light is not the reason it's not putting out variegation. I don't really know, but this leaf is very cute. I just wish that it was variegated. And I don't know if it's just a coincidence, but I put the moss around, you know, the base of these plants, and like within, like, I just picked this up, and this was not here when I watered like 5 days ago, but it has a new leaf coming out. And this plant does not put out new leaves very often. It looks like, honestly, pretty sad. It's a crystallinum. I've had it for a long time and it's never like sized up super big. I mean, when I got it, the leaves were like this big. So it definitely has gotten bigger, but it doesn't put out leaves very often. And then they usually end up looking sad and beat up, which I'm actually starting to think is more of a result of the grow lights being too bright. This one is the, what is this one? Oh, the Magnificum Silver. Possibly my favorite plant from the haul. Like this was the first plant that I saw that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get that one in when I was walking